Good morning.
Who? Can I just ask a quick question? I have some of this people speaking in support that are concerned that they can't see and they can't, and that they're not visible. I'm assuming that we're going to unmute them as they need to come on.
Good morning, Sue Sullivan. This is Council Flaherty. I'm assuming that I'm assuming at the appropriate time they'll be added as panelists, but just waiting for the chair of the committee to join us.
Great. Okay. Thank you. They were just panicking a little.
Good morning, Sue.
Good morning, Council Flynn. Thanks for being here, both of you.
It's good to be with you. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning, Councilor Flynn. It's good to be with you.
Thank you. Same here.
It looks like everyone that I've lined up to speak. Looks like I might have one extra too. I didn't think I had Rosemary, Andrew, but Rose Boardman from the downtown bid is on.
Okay.
Hopefully I can have her at the end.
Let me try and check in with Carrie.
Am I chairing this?
That's a good question.
Michael, Michael, are you chairing this or am I chairing this?
I thought this is your hearing. It's your committee, Frankie.
So I am chairing it.
Hi, Councilor Baker. It's Candace. We're just moving speakers into the Zoom now. Should we have everyone in on this list all at one time?
Probably wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
Who is the central staff person? Is it Juan?
Yes, Councilor Baker, it is Juan.
Juan, are you who's running the slides?
That will be Candace and Councilor Wu or Mayor-elect will be sharing the meeting.
Okay.
So who is running this one?
That's correct. She'll be signing in shortly
Okay,
and
thank
she
you.
will be sharing it.
Thank you.
Mr. Vice President.
Sorry, Candace, I know we have a lot of people speaking.
That's okay. And I'm
Candace
just
or
going through
Carrie,
each line to make sure
Candace?
that we get everyone in who's supposed to be there.
Candace, Chairman Wu is trying to get in and she's having some technical difficulties. Can you help with that?
Sure, no worries.
Hi, everyone. I'm so sorry. I was trapped in the waiting room. Thank you for letting me in, and I really apologize for the delay. Candace, are you on the back end?
Candace is
I
trying
am
to.
here because there's so many people getting in. Carrie said there is going to be a slight delay, but we
Okay.
are promoting people. It'll just be a couple minutes before it actually moves them over because we have about 50 people waiting to get in. But I can start all the recordings and you can begin whenever you like while that's happening.
Okay, so you think we can jump in while you're
Yes.
doing that? All right, let's do it.
Okay. Juan, are you starting off?
Okay, great. Welcome, everyone, to the Boston City Council's Committee on Planning, Development, and Transportation, and our hearing on docket number 1023. My name is Michelle Wu. I'm chair of this committee and pleased to be here with colleagues. Let me just scan the list. This is not in order of arrival because I'm sure I will get that list, but I see Councillor Ed Flynn, Councillor Frank Baker, Councillor Michael Flaherty, and that's it for now, as well as some, Councillor Kenzie Bach is in the waiting room, so we will see her shortly, as well as colleagues from the state level, State Representative Liz Miranda, State Representative John Santiago, and I believe Sheriff Steve Tompkins will be joining us later as well. So I actually have a great deal of disclosures and formal language to read into the record while we're still admitting people, so let's get straight into it. In accordance with Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, modifying certain requirements of the open meeting law and relieving public bodies of certain requirements, including the requirement that public bodies conduct our meetings in a public place that's open and physically accessible to the public, the City Council will be conducting this hearing virtually. This enables the Council to carry out our responsibilities while adhering to public health recommendations and ensuring public access to deliberations through adequate alternative means. The public may watch this meeting via live stream on the City of Boston's website or via broadcast on Xfinity 8, RCN 82, and FiOS 964. This hearing, okay, yes. Anyone that would like to testify on this matter, please email juan.lopez@boston.gov for the Zoom link. Again, today's hearing is on docket number 1023, communication received from Susan L. Sullivan, Executive Director of the Newmarket Business Association regarding the proposed petition for the Newmarket Business Improvement District. This matter was referred to committee on September 29th, 2021. I have, okay, now more formal language from, because this is a particular hearing to codify and as part of a process outlined by the state, there are additional requirements, so please bear with me. Okay, at this public hearing, according to Mass General Law, Chapter 40O, the local municipal governing body shall determine if the petition satisfies the purposes set forth. And so I will read a letter from the clerk satisfying that requirement. November 5th, 2021, regarding this petition. Dear City Council, on October 19th, 2021, at the request of the Chair of the Committee on Planning, Development, and Transportation, the Council voted to direct the City Clerk to determine whether the petition filed as Docket 1023 regarding the New Market Business Improvement District meets the establishment criteria for Business Improvement District as set forth in Mass General Laws, Chapter 40O, Section 3. After completing my review, I have determined that the petition does meet the establishment criteria for a business improvement district as set forth by this chapter. In order to validly establish a bid, Section 3 requires that 1, the signatures of the owners of at least 51% of the assessed valuation of all real property within the proposed bid and 60% of the real property owners within the proposed bid. 2, a description of and a site map delineating the boundaries of the proposed bid. 3, the proposed improvement plan, which shall set forth the supplemental services and programs, revitalization strategy, update mechanism, and budget and fee structures. 4, the identity and location of the management entity designated to implement and oversee the ongoing improvement plan. And 5, the criteria for waiving the fee for any property owner within the bid who can provide evidence that the imposition of such fee would create a significant financial hardship. With the assistance of the assessor, again, this is from Madam Clerk, with the assistance of the assessor, I have examined the petition in light of each of these criteria and have determined that all of the criteria have been met. As required by the statute, the petition contains the signatures of the owners of at least 51% of the assessed valuation of all real property within the proposed bid and 60% of the real property owners within the proposed bid. The petition also contains all the items required by Section 3, a description of and site map delineating the boundaries of the proposed bid, a proposed improvement plan which sets forth the supplemental services and programs, revitalization strategy, update mechanism, and budget and fee structures, the identity and location of the management entity designated to implement and oversee the ongoing improvement plan, and the criteria for waiving the fee for any property owner within the bid who can provide evidence that the imposition of such fee would create a significant financial hardship. Therefore, I have determined that the petition meets all of the criteria for the establishment of a bid as set forth in Chapter 40O, Section 3. Sincerely, Maureen Feeney, City Clerk. Okay, and the assessor's certificate is also included, which I will read into the record. I, Nicholas P. Arenello, the assessor for the City of Boston, Massachusetts, hereby certify that I've received and reviewed the attached list of fiscal year 2019 assessed real property and real property owners within the proposed New Market Business Improvement District for the City of Boston. I hereby further certify that the stated signatures exceed 60% of the real property owners within the bid, and further that they exceed the 51% of the assessed valuation of all real property within the bid, sealed and signed November 5th, 2021. Okay, last little bit here. Oh dear, this is a very long little bit. Okay, at the public hearing, the presiding officer shall also read into the record the basis for determining the district fee pursuant to Section 7 and the process by which the eligible property owners may vote not to renew such bid. The fee structure. Supplemental services within the bid district shall be funded primarily through special annual fees paid by the owners of all real property within the bid district, except those residential properties detailed below. All of the owners shall pay an assessed fee, which shall be calculated on an annual basis in accordance with the formula set below, collected in quarterly installments by the City of Boston and dispersed in full to the bid corporation. The initial installment of the bid assessments shall be included in the next available tax bill issued after the bid's creation. If the initial bid assessments are first included in the second, third, or fourth quarter tax bills, the total assessment for that fiscal year will be decreased by the amount equal to the assessment for the quarters when the bid was not yet in existence. The total revenues from the fees shall be used solely for the provision of supplemental services and the furtherance of the purposes of the bid. In accordance with MGL Chapter 40O, Section 8, all fees billed by or on behalf of the bid and unpaid after 30 days from the date of billing shall become a lien on the property, which shall have priority over all other liens except as otherwise required by law. All parcels within the bid boundaries will be included and counted in the establishment of the bid. However, residential land parcels, owner-occupied residential condominium parcels, and owner-occupied residential 1 to 3 family parcels will be exempt from the assessment fees. The assessed values of each property are determined by the City of Boston's Assessor's Department. For the purposes of the bid, the assessed values will be those values reported as of December 31st of the previous year. The only exception to this is that the 2019 assessed values will be utilized to determine first-year bid fees. For all assessed bid properties where the owner can demonstrate to the bid corporation that multiple parcels belong to the same owner, the combined assessed value of such parcels will be utilized to determine the owner's bid assessment. That assessment will then be allocated proportionally among the parcels. Negotiated participation agreements may be entered into from time to time between the MBA/bid corporation and the owner of a participating property, providing for contributions and/or in-kind services that will result in a net reduction of bid expenses or create beneficial activity for the bid. Except as described above, the fee imposed on each property owner shall be calculated as below. A, for taxable properties, the bid assessment shall be equal to 0.005 on the first $5 million or less of assessed property value, 0.004 on the assessed property value between $5 to $10 million, 0.003 on the assessed property value between $10 and $25 million, 0.0008 on the assessed property value between $25 million to $200 million, and 0.0002 on the assessed property value from $200 million up to and including $500 million, with on-site improvements and community benefits allowable as in-kind activity. B, for all properties exempt from taxation pursuant to Chapter 59 of the Mass General Laws and whose total property assessment is less than or equal to $200 million, the bid assessment fee shall be an amount equal to 0.005 on the first $1 million or less of assessed property value, 0.00125 on the assessed property value greater than 1 million, between 1 million and 50 million, 0.005 on the assessed property value between 50 million and 100 million, 0.0009 on the assessed property value between 100 million up to and including $200 million. C, for all properties exempt from taxation pursuant to Chapter 59 of the Massachusetts General Laws and whose total property assessment is greater than $200 million, the assessment fee shall be as detailed in negotiated participation agreements between the bid corporation and the owner of each such participating property. And D, for all residential non-owner occupied taxable properties, the bid assessment shall be an amount equal to 0.001 on the first $25 million or less, and 0.0007 on the value greater than 25 million up to $200 million. Okay, finally, the process by which eligible property owners may vote not to renew such a bid. 5-year renewal. On or before the 5th anniversary of the organization of the bid under this chapter, and thereafter on or before the 5th anniversary of the date of the then most recent renewal of the bid, the board shall call a renewal meeting of the participating property owners to review the preceding 5-year history of the bid, propose an updated improvement plan to succeed the then current improvement plan, and consider whether to continue the bid. The board will hold the renewal meeting at a location within the district during normal business hours, and notice will be given by mail, email, or other customary method of notification to participating property owners at least 30 days prior to the meeting. If the participating property owners do not elect to continue the bid, the board will wrap up the business of the bid prior to the 6th anniversary of the bid's creation or prior renewal, as the case may be, and proceed to discontinue the bid. Notice of the discontinuation vote will be given to the Boston City Council, which shall formally declare the bid dissolved as of such 6th anniversary, provided, however, that the bid shall not be dissolved until it has satisfied or paid in full all of its outstanding indebtedness, obligations, and liabilities, or until the funds are on deposit and available therefore, or until a repayment schedule has been formulated and approved by the City Council. The bid shall be prohibited from incurring any new or increased financial obligations after such 6th anniversary. Upon the dissolution of a bid, any remaining revenues derived from the sale of assets acquired with fees collected shall be applied to repay obligations of the bid and then to the improvement of the district in accordance with an improvement plan approved by the City Council. Okay, that is it for the legal language. I'm going to do a quick check to see if I have the order of arrivals
Councilor Mayor-elect, there are a few, including, I think Rep Miranda and Rep Santiago, who I think are still waiting to get in. And our
Okay,
consent-
I just got a tech note that the way that this webinar is scheduled, those we are trying to promote into the panelist room, you have to click yes when the request comes, do you wish to be a panelist? So I think there's just some trouble there. If we can try one more time, and those who are slated to speak, if you could just watch on your screen and click yes, that would help us move you over. Thank you. Okay, so I'm sorry, because I don't know the order. I'm just going to start with my assumption. First, we'll start with the Vice Chair of this committee, Councilor Frank Baker, for any opening statement.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be brief, but this has been something that my office has been working with the Newmarket Square Association for quite some time, 6 years, I believe. And just to be straight, we're asking business to pay more taxes here. So I want to upfront apologize for that we are unable as the city to be able to do everything that needs to happen down there. That is why this bid is in place here. The businesses have agreed to augment city services so they can keep their places clean, keep their places safe, and a number of other things that Sue will, I'm sure, list out when she gets into what this bid will look at. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Baker. Thank you for all your work on this. So next we'll go to Councilor Ed Flynn, then Councilor Michael Flaherty, then Councilor Kenzie Bach.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you to my colleagues that are on and the panelists. I also wanted to acknowledge Sue Sullivan and Steve Fox, who worked closely with us, myself and Council Baker and others, Council Flaherty, on the language and making sure we had a compromise that works for everybody. The bid plays a critical role. I have two of them in my district, including the Greenway and in the downtown crossing area. And they play an exceptional role on quality of life issues. So the team that's working on this, including Sue Sullivan, has been excellent. Looking forward to continuing to work with Sue, but also to improve the quality of life, improve the business community in and around that area. That's critical. These businesses pay high property taxes to the city of Boston. We must provide them good quality of life, basic city services. That's critical, and along with public safety services. I also know that Sheriff Steve Tompkins is on as well. He's played a critical role in public safety issues, and just want to acknowledge the role of Steve Tompkins. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. Councilor Flaherty?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to obviously thank the lead sponsors here and their efforts of Council Baker and Council Flynn, along with Sue Sullivan on behalf of her association, who's been working extremely hard on this, along with Steve Fox as well. And just a couple questions I'm hoping to get answered right out of the gate is I just want to kind of understand the procedural steps that have already been taken, plus ones that need to be taken, and also want to get an estimate of the fees that each business owner would incur in order to implement this. And I think it's just as a matter of basic fairness, and I talked about this when it was introduced on the floor of the council, is I really believe that the business owners and the homeowners over there are owed an abatement. And so this may be something we can talk about during the course of this process, whereby we could try to find, we could offer an abatement for the business and the homeowners, maybe for the first couple of 2 or 3 years of this program. So again, I'm open to that. I think it's just, again, as a matter of basic fairness, what they've been having to deal with over there, and the increasing costs that have been incurred around security and lost business and lost deliveries, et cetera. So I would argue that it's significant over the last few years. And I would be happy to engage in a discussion with respect to sitting down with the CFO, et cetera, and our assessor to see whether or not the city of Boston can provide some form of relief for the property owners in and around the area. And in addition, as we're talking about the bid, maybe we reduce that contribution out of the gate for the first couple of years just to get this thing going. So I'm open to all that, but want to know what the procedural steps are and have already been taken, and moving forward, how can we get this implemented for the folks over there? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Flaherty. Next up is Councilor Bach, who will also be followed by Councilor Julia Mejia. Sorry, Councilor Mejia, I didn't see you earlier.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I just also wanted to express my thanks to Councilor Baker for all of his work on this, and everybody, the many people on this call who I know have worked intensely on this. I am mostly here to listen and learn about all the details that everyone's put in motion. I would just say, I think Councilor Flynn referenced the downtown crossing bid. I don't have any bids in my district, but that one does abut my district. And I think that's an important example and success case. I think that when that was originally proposed, there were lots of folks who worried that a bid would sort of privatize existing public city services, or, just be a substitute way to pay for the same thing. And I think we've really seen in Downtown Crossing how if done in the right partnership with the city and the right parameters, it can add, while you still have city services, you still have city public safety. And so I think that, I'm very focused on making sure that public services are robust across the city. But I think that we've seen downtown a way to do something like this that augments, so encouraged by that and looking forward to learning more. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Councilor Bach. Councilor Mejia.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to Councilor Baker and his leadership in this space. I also just wanted to quickly highlight and thank Stu and Sariting, who a few weeks ago gave me a walkthrough through that area. And I heard from many of the small businesses that were deeply impacted by what's happening in and around that area. So really encouraged by the conversation. And I guess some of the things that I want to make sure that I know in terms of our office as the chair of small business here in the city, we're also looking at how we are, how would the business improvement district partner with when it comes to helping people with substance use disorder and homelessness. So I'm just curious about what that role will look like within this context. And then how are we setting up businesses in the district up for success when it comes to city contracting? And then the last piece, of course, is how are we centering small Black and Brown owned businesses in all levels of decision-making processes as we continue to move this work forward. So thank you, looking to listen and learn, and I'm really grateful that we're having this conversation today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mejia. Next, we'll go to our elected colleagues in county and state government. So we'll start with Sheriff Steve Tompkins, then Representative Liz Miranda, then Representative John Santiago.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Thank you for inviting me to this meeting. I want to say good morning to everyone that's on the call. I want to give a particular shout out to Sue Sullivan, who has been all over this situation. I mean, Sue, you're my shiro, definitely for the rest of the day. But you have done some fantastic work here. Our city councilors, Frank Baker, Ed Flynn, Representative John Santiago, Steve Fox has been amazing with this. Linda Orsino-Fori, I want to give you a warm hello also. Given that I'm in this area every single day and see how an open air drug market and the likes of all manner of ill things that are taking place is becoming normalized. This is something that we just, as a society, cannot have. Boston is better than this. We are a more accommodating and loving community and should not have to go through this. So I want to applaud this initiative. I want to applaud Sue for gathering us all together over the last several weeks and months to work on this situation. I'm glad to see that the city has now rolled up their sleeves and are definitely intimately involved with clearing the streets. And our thing here at the Sheriff's Department was to make sure that we were able to get people off the street so that they wouldn't freeze to death or that they wouldn't die in a tent fire. And so this was not, I just have to say this was not about trying to criminalize anybody. This was not trying to subject anybody to anything that was untoward. This is a humanitarian crisis. That's where we have always been coming from. And that's where we will remain until this situation is addressed adequately and permanently. This could not be a flash in the pan, because when it gets warm again next spring, we hope that we do not see a reoccurrence of what we have been experiencing for quite some time now. So with that, thank you so much for having me on this call. And thank you for everything that everybody on this call is doing to take care of our fellow citizens.
Thank you, Sheriff. Rep. Miranda?
Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is well. I want to thank the chairwoman, Madam Mayor-elect Michelle Wu, and my colleagues on the council, members of the committee. I'd also like to thank many of who are on this call today, the residents and leaders who've worked with me, not only from the Newmarket Business Association, but Plan Newmarket and the discussions around the bid. There are over 350 businesses in Newmarket Square. And so the future of Newmarket is really incredibly important, but particularly to the residents who live in this community and the business owners, many of whom have had their businesses in this part of the city for a very long time. Special thank you to Marini Ponce, Senator Diane Wilkerson, John Smith with DSNI, Renee Domingos, Marla, and Dave Smith, and former Senator Linda Forey, the Canuto family, and of course, you, Sue Sullivan. There have been many of us who have been at this table planning and thinking about a better future for a very long time. As a lifelong resident of the Dudley Triangle, now owning a home here and representing the neighborhood in the legislature, I can say that our community has been and will continue to be an economic engine, especially for immigrant-owned businesses that have been a lifeline to our community. With the public health crisis at Mass and Cass in our backyard, it's never been more important to create opportunities for our homeowners and businesses to increase safety and security, invest in our infrastructure, and actually improve the built environment, while still protecting and supporting the residential homeowners and businesses that have been here for decades. The bid is not about pushing anyone out of the neighborhood, but rather ensuring that everyone has the ability to stay. This bid would allow businesses to enhance services and safety critical to their success and survival. Ensuring businesses have the resources to provide what they need, clean the streets, and shuttle workers to their jobs will improve the quality of life of our entire neighborhood tremendously and provide added benefits to our families, including abutters of the bid. This is not a way to replace city services or support. The bid represents new, additional services that will complement what the city has been able to provide, working in tandem to improve quality of life across the neighborhood. Owner-occupied residential properties are exempt from all bid fees, so this will not cost our residential homeowners anything, but they will still greatly, benefit from the bid's investment in cleaner sidewalks and urban open space, better access to public transportation, increased area-wide safety and security, enhanced beautification and preservation of our open space, advocacy for a better quality of life, placemaking, and connecting our small businesses with the resources, networking, technical assistance opportunities that they so deserve. And one of my most important reasons for supporting this, to celebrate and make sure that our rich history of arts and culture in this neighborhood and the diverse tapestry that lives here survives and makes a way for new generations to make and keep this place their home. So the Newmarket Business Improvement District will strengthen our ability to create a neighborhood with high quality places that people will want to live, work, play, and learn in. So thank you for your time today. I appreciate everyone's leadership and attention to this and would ask the support from all members of the committee for the Newmarket Business Improvement District proposal. Thank you all.
Thank you, Representative. Rep. Santiago.
Good morning, everyone. Madam Chair and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to speak today in support of the Newmarket bid. A special thank you to Councilor Frank Baker and Sue Sullivan for your leadership and partnership over the past couple of years. In addition to living near Newmarket, I also serve as a state rep in the area with Representative Miranda. And in both those roles, I've been extremely proud to advocate for the Newmarket bid since I took office almost 3 years ago. I'm here today to join the Newmarket Business Association, local business owners, and residents to support the bid because I strongly believe that its creation will enable a safer, more vibrant, and a more welcoming neighborhood. It's no secret that over the past few years, Newmarket has been disproportionately impacted by public health and safety issues. It's hard to live there, to work there, and to conduct any type of business. It's my belief that we should be looking at every possible mechanism to improve current conditions and maximize the economic potential of that neighborhood. And I see the bid's impact happening on several different levels. First, the bid would provide us a new tool to help the community address conditions at Mass and Cass. The public health crisis has led to a destabilizing situation in the area, and we need all hands on deck. I view the bid as a critical tool to supporting existing efforts, either through providing resources or through the further coordination of services. The Newmarket Business Association, as well as several of its independent partners, have already been very active in this area, and I only expect it to strengthen with the creation of a bid. Secondly, to promote a welcoming environment, the bid will organize the daily upkeep of Newmarket streets. Street ambassadors hired by the bid will provide daily street and sidewalk cleaning, as well as being tasked with trash removal and needle pickup. Increasing services and creating a safer environment in Newmarket has been one of our primary goals, and the bid moves us in that direction. Thirdly, the bid is essential to helping us increase the economic development in that historically diverse industrial area in Boston. As you know, Newmarket is home to over 180 businesses employing over 25,000 workers, most of whom live in Boston. Despite this, Newmarket is one of the most underserved by public transportation in the city. This project would promote transit equity by creating a 24-hour Newmarket shuttle service to connect the district to the Red Line, the Orange Line, and the commuter rail. Bid resources will also support the long-term transit accessibility goals of the district, including advocating for rapid rail transit at Newmarket Station through the proposed Indigo Line. For all these reasons and many more, I fully support efforts to create the Newmarket bid. I can assure you that many neighboring residents and businesses feel similarly. Thank you again for the opportunity to testify, and please let me know if I can be of any assistance moving this project forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rep. Okay, so just a quick process note, because I know there's a lot of people who we have already scheduled to speak, 24 speakers, in fact, plus our 3 panelists who will be describing the proposal and getting into details. What we're going to do, and I see some folks who have raised their hands, so apologies, because I know we're going to have a quite lengthy list of speakers, and we'll make sure you're on there, but there's a group that has already signed up to testify. We're going to start first with Sue Sullivan, Ben Murphy, and Ann Burke, who are the proponents and advocates of this. After those 3 speakers, we'll open it up to the city councilors for questions and answers, just to fully understand and vet the bid. And then we will move to the full list of those who have signed up to testify with 2-minute testimony. Okay. All right. So we'll start with Sue.
Great, thank you. And I think we're still letting some people into to speak as well, 2 panelists. I think they're still coming on. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I want to thank everyone on the committee for being here, and everyone else, our electeds, Rep. Miranda, Rep. Santiago, Sheriff Tompkins. And I would like to congratulate our chair of the committee, Madam-elect Mayor Wu. Looking very forward to working more closely with you as the months and weeks go on. And I'm just looking forward to that. I have to tell you, there were some times over the past 2.5 years that I didn't think this day would ever come. And so I can't tell you how glad I am to be here to present to you our proposal for the Newmarket Business Improvement District. Putting a business improvement district together isn't easy on the best of days. And throwing in 1.5 years of non-contact because of COVID stretched our planned timeframe, but in the end, here we are. We have a great steering committee chaired by Michael Rothschild and a dedicated staff, Kate, Ben, and Marissa, and a district city councilor, Frank Baker, who's been behind us all the way. And I have to tell you, in addition, this never would have happened if it hadn't been for support from a large number of city employees, city workers who went above and beyond to shepherd us through the process. And I especially want to thank the whole team in the city clerk's office, Alex Jauntis, Dassie Beachman, and our city clerk, Maureen Feeney, who in these final weeks, she took charge of the process and made sure we were doing everything right. In the assessor's office, Commissioner Nick Arenello and Fran Gavin, who were painstaking in their review of making sure that we met our full thresholds. Carolyn Bennett from the BPDA, the staff in the mailroom, the city's general counsel, Adam Cedarbaum, who really made sure that everything was crystal clear. And I can't say enough about the Economic Development Office, Midori Morikawa for her leadership on the issues, and Andrew Grace, who from day one, his tireless efforts, his patience, and his diplomacy truly brought us to this point. So I thank you all. And I hope I didn't leave anyone out, but if I did, please know you have my sincere gratitude in all of your help. So now I'm going to take everyone through the steps we took to form the district and the mission and goals. Candace, if you could put up the first slide. Okay, I don't know if we can put that on full screen. Yeah, good. Okay, back to okay. So that's just first. We can go to the second slide. How's that? Just as an overview, just so everyone knows, bids are primarily commercial areas in which the property owners vote to initiate and then manage and then finance supplemental services beyond the baseline of services that are provided by their city or town. Okay. They provide sustainable solutions to area issues. And in our case, those solutions will improve our quality of life down here, will bring about increased safety so that all can live and do business without fear. And in addition, we're going to work to bring about real systemic change, working closely with the city on the homelessness and the addiction issues that plague not only Newmarket, but the city as a whole. So, as you can see, bids work. There are over 2,500 bids in the United States and over 4,000 throughout the world. Okay, they work, and they wouldn't continue to be initiated and renewed time after time if they didn't. You can see the ones we have here in Massachusetts. I'm actually going to have you go to the next slide, Candace. And this is across the United States. These are the annual bid assessments, and this is a few years old now, but you can take a look at this in the top 20 North American cities. Look at New York City with 100 million, Philadelphia, 21 million, 76 million in Houston. They work, and time after time, they're initiated and renewed. And so there are already 9 in Massachusetts. So I'm going to switch to the next slide, Candace. And you can see from this slide that they're located all over the Commonwealth, and they've had tremendous effects on neighborhoods and municipalities. Candace, if you want to go to the next slide, I'm going to get into the nitty gritty of the Newmarket bid. Okay. First off, there's our map. We have 618 parcels in the map, which actually makes us the second largest bid in Massachusetts. It covers an area of approximately 400 acres. With a total assessed value of $3.75 billion. Now, Councilor Wu mentioned earlier that we had to hit 2 thresholds. We had to hit a petition by 60% of the owners of all the real property. And we had to hit, and it also had to be at least 51% of the assessed value of the real property. As you can see, we needed 371. We got 396. We needed 1.93 billion, and we got 2.79 billion, 64% and 74.5%. Okay, certainly, in any election, that would be a mandate. But just so you know, we stopped at that point because we determined this was the time to go to city council. It wasn't that others, we had others, numbers that were opposed. It was just a matter of, we got to this point, we'd met our thresholds, and we came to city council with it. If you could go on to the next slide. What I want to tell you is that now we're looking at how we came about to get to the Newmarket bid. And what happened is about 3 years ago, the Newmarket Business Association put out a survey of its membership. So we're amongst the major issues that we have down here. What are your concerns? And overwhelmingly, the answers were, we feel unsafe. Our employees don't feel safe walking from public transportation. Our streets are filled with trash. We feel like we have to have private security all the time. And even more devastating, and if I hear this time and time again, is people saying that the business owners, their employees, the residents feel like every day they watch people in the throes of the worst of their existence and they can't do anything about it. And I hear time after time, how can we help? What can we do to make change in these crises that we see day after day? More recently, we've had a lot of people saying, how we can't get employees. And also they are just begging for a better quality of life for everyone. So I was already familiar with the success of bids all over. So I discussed it with Michael Rothschild, the president of Newmarket, and we brought it to our board of directors, and they agreed to work to form a bid in Newmarket. We formed a steering committee of 15 property owners and stakeholders and got to work in early 2019. I wish I could say things have gotten better over the last couple of years, but they haven't, and have actually in a lot of ways become worse because of the huge influx of people that we get every day from all areas of the Commonwealth and beyond who come down here for services and stay. Now we know, by the way, we're not blaming the city for this or anyone else. We know the city's pouring a lot of resources into this area, and a lot of people are working hard. We work closely every single day with the Public Health Department, with the Boston Police, with DPW, and other departments. But this is why we need the bid. Just like other areas that have formed bids, the supplemental services that Newmarket bid will provide will make a big difference. Okay, so here's what we plan to provide. Actually, got to go back one, Candace. We're hoping to provide better quality of life, increased safety and security, greater cleanliness, improved transportation, advocacy for businesses, residences, and property owners, and advocacy for change in the homelessness and addiction crisis. And of course, the promotion of business growth. If you go to the next slide, Candace, we'll start into how we're going to do this. We're going to contract with a vendor that's going to provide 8 to 10 workers every single day, 9 to 5, not every day, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, doing cleanup on the streets of Newmarket. And I'm not talking about just hokies with pokies. I'm talking about these street vacuums and power washers and all kinds of different things that are really going to make a difference in what our streets look like. Other bids in the city, I know the downtown bid works very closely with DPW. It's not that DPW is diminishing what they're going to do, it's we're redeploying. We're going to be looking at how we can leverage the dollars that we have and the supplemental services we can do with what the city is already doing and has agreed to continue to do and do more in the future. Okay, if you want to switch to the next slide, Candace, we're looking at, people talked about not feeling safe going to the T, and we go back and forth from the subway stations. So we're going to provide shuttle service every 15 minutes or so from Andrew Station and Broadway on the Red Line, from the Mass Ave station on the Orange Line, and from the Newmarket station on the Fairmont Indigo Line. In addition, we're going to work in partnership with the city to create a traffic mitigation plan. How do we have better district flow of transportation? This district relies on the traffic flow for the distribution of goods and services. So this is a major piece of this, and how to make it more pedestrian friendly while still protecting the need for truck movements. If you want to go to, I think it's slides, whatever the next slide is, let's go with that. So we're going to work for advocacy and change in this public health crisis. We're going to provide 4 to 6 additional outreach workers that we've talked closely with the Department of Public Health, coordinating them with the services, with the outreach workers that the city already has in place to get people help, to the help that they need. We're going to advocate for decentralization of services in Newmarket area, absolutely, because we truly believe this is a regional issue. It's an issue that everyone, not just Newmarket, not just the city of Boston, it has to be far and wide throughout the Commonwealth, including the creation of comprehensive long-term addiction treatment centers across the Commonwealth, and a dramatic increase in the amount of low threshold and transformative housing. We will work tirelessly to make that happen. If you go to the next slide, we are going to increase area-wide safety and security. We've talked, it's crazy to us that so many of our members have to have private security. We're looking to make a area private security team that will provide rapid response to bid companies and property owners, that they'll regularly patrol the Newmarket area and respond to illegal activity on private property. And they'll work closely. We work closely now with Captain Boyle, Captain Kogovan, Deputy Chief Messina. We work so closely with our police now. We are looking forward to being able to even provide them with greater assistance going forward. And we are looking at a district-wide surveillance camera system. There are so many times in Newmarket when something happens and the police are looking to see what of our properties, what of our businesses have cameras. How can we make sure this crime doesn't happen again? In this, we're looking to have eyes on all the streets in order to increase safety. If you can go to the next slide. What we've done for over 30 years in Newmarket is, as the business association, we have assisted our businesses with individual and district-wide advocacy for government-funded infrastructure improvements, and just connecting our businesses to who they need to get things done so that they can continue to do business in this area. Go to the next one. And that is that we're going to promote new business, district-wide marketing and branding. We want to be that industrial future of Boston. Plan Newmarket is being done right now. We're looking at Newmarket being maintained as the industrial and commercial backbone. And we need to show what that looks like in the future. What kinds of properties? This is the picture you see on the slide is one of our newest properties, 960 Mass Ave, National Development, just renovated and are in the process of leasing out. We're looking to have other things. What about advanced manufacturing? What about different types of industrial commercial businesses that we need to bring to Newmarket? To bring it to tomorrow. Okay, next one. In other words, as the slide says, Newmarket strong is Boston strong. And we intend to show that those words ring true as we commence this bid. Many of the businesses down here in Newmarket are backstreet businesses, and they are the backbone of Boston's economy. We supply food to the restaurants and grocery stores. We provide the materials and labor to build all the buildings. We have top-notch medical facilities, and many of our business owners get in at 4 and 5 in the morning and work 12-hour days to make sure that these businesses continue to run and our 20,000 plus employees continue to have jobs to go to. I'll be honest, there's a lot of property owners that signed on in support of the bid that did so with a thought in their mind that isn't this what they pay taxes for? But in the end, they're supporting the bid because they realize that the issues we face are bigger than the city with all its current resources can do alone. And the only way for us to create a better quality of life down here is to add the supplemental resources that the Newmarket bid can provide. We're hopeful that through this effort, Newmarket will thrive, and our neighborhood, Newmarket will become a neighborhood that our business owners, our employees, our residents, and indeed the entire city of Boston will be proud of. So that's it. Now I have Ben Murphy with me, who's our program manager, who can recite just about everything bid related in his sleep. Okay? And I have Ann Burke, who's been our consultant since the outset of the campaign. Ann has been incredible. Among other things, she co-authored the enabling legislation to create bids in Massachusetts. She authored the guidebook for forming business improvement districts here. And she led the successful development of bids in Springfield, Amherst, Hudson, Worcester, and most recently Central Square in Cambridge, and is currently advising other communities on how to form bids. Okay, that's it. Sorry, hope I didn't talk too long.
No, thank you so much, Sue. And thank you again, as everyone has said, for all of your work day in and day out. I'm also going to note before we turn this over to Ben and Ann that the vice chair of this committee, Councilor Baker, has very graciously agreed to take over chairing at this point because of a time conflict on my end. So thank you, everyone, and really honored to be part of this discussion today. And thank you, Councilor Baker.
Thank you, Mayor-elect.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With that, Ben, do you and Ann want to add to what Sue discussed?
Councilor Baker, I believe that Sue was very comprehensive in her description of the bid and how we got to this point and everything. If there are any questions among any of the councilors here or anybody else who'd like some elaboration on anything that Sue has said, then I'm here to answer questions for them.
Okay.
Councilor Baker, likewise, I'm here if there are some technical questions. The one comment I would like to make is that certainly Newmarket is its own unique animal in terms of the world of bids. And that's kind of what makes bids so interesting and so successful in so many places across the Commonwealth and elsewhere around the country and the world, is that it's the ability of a bid to be designed hyper locally so that you're designing the kinds of supplemental programs and services that your particular district needs and wants and feels are priorities. So those are that's the reason why they work. That's the reason why they've been around for over 60 years. And that's the reason why we think that this is an important new organization to bring onto the landscape in Newmarket. And I'm here to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Ben, maybe this is for you. Sue didn't talk about the coordinated response center. Is that still on the table?
Yes, absolutely. That's still on the table. That is one of a major partnership that the bid will be undertaking with Boston University and Boston Medical Center as a way to coordinate all of the different public safety services that we already have in this area. Newmarket kind of lies as the overlap of 3 different police districts just for the Boston Police, as well as the Transit Police, the State Police, and the various security services that BU and BMC have. So part of the bid will be to bring together the center where they will all be able to communicate more effectively.
And I forgot, Councilor, also besides BU and BMC, it's the South End working very closely with us, the South End Forum and Steve Fox and your office.
But I think in addition to law enforcement, I think the idea there was to make sure the city agencies were in there, the public health, the public works, transportation, because I think what we need to start doing here as leaders and just as a society, we have to figure out how we are responding to all these calls. So it's my like what I have in my head is almost healthcare professionals and police and security, whoever else, almost originating in the same area. So when they're going out, they're going together as part of a team. I just wanted to make that point. I don't necessarily want to belabor it, but also in San Francisco, one of the things that they do with the bid, a lot of the people that are doing the services on the street are formerly homeless or formerly addicted that come from those streets. So they're able to reach into the communities and have some sort of street cred, for lack of a better term. And also the services that we provide in the city, as much as I'd like to have Public Works and everybody down there 24 hours a day, we're unable to do that. So this is a way that the businesses can be more mobile and just have services available to them much more quickly, I think, than if we were going through a city process. That's just a couple of points that I wanted to make here.
Absolutely. Counselor, I apologize because that is one of the major pieces. And I realized last night I didn't have it in my remarks and meant to put it in first thing this morning and just, my bad. I apologize.
Okay, and I only see one other colleague here. Michael, do you have any questions?
No additional questions, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, and I think maybe we should look into that, what you had talked about, the abatement, Mike, to see what we could offer for support in the city here. Council Mejia, you're next. Council Mejia, Chair recognizes Council Mejia.
Thank you, Councilor Baker. I'm just curious about some of the questions that I asked earlier, and if maybe if there's a way for us to just kind of like, it seems like a very comprehensive bid, and you've thought through all of the ins and outs, but I'm just curious if someone could speak to how we're setting up businesses in this district up for success when it comes to city contracting. Could somebody talk to me a little bit about what that would look like in the space?
So, Councilor, I think I can probably speak best to that. And that is something that for us, I sit on the Roxbury Master Plan Oversight Committee and the Boston Jobs Council. I feel very, very strongly that we need to be focused and the word I want in. I think it's overused sometimes, but at the same time, it's I'm losing the word. Anyhow, it's that we have to make sure that the businesses from this community, from Dorchester, from Roxbury, from Mattapan, those that want to start businesses, Newmarket has always been that place where you can start businesses and be supported. And particularly Black and brown businesses, women-owned businesses, we need to make sure that we are that area. We always have been, and I hope that Newmarket will continue to be. And I'm thinking of a word that starts with I, and God only knows because it's completely intentional. We need to be intentional about it in Newmarket. And if I would welcome having a committee of our committee of our board that specifically speaks to that, because I think it's that important.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you for your leadership in this space. Really looking forward to supporting this process and working alongside you all every step of the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Is that all, Council Mejia?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I'm just going to go into the list of speakers that I have in front of me. Are there any residents on today?
I believe Cesar was on. He was trying to stay on as long as he could. He's one of the speakers. Candace, can you check if he's let in?
There are some people that have asked for the Zoom link. So when you finish with the panelists, if you will call for public testimony and ask those that would like to speak to raise their hand.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't think there's any more questions for this panel here. I have a list of speakers in support. I'm going to just go into it, just speakers rather. I'm going to list them out from the beginning. And the first one being Michael Rothschilds, and then Catherine D'Amato will be next, and Linda Dorsina Fori will be third. Michael?
Good morning, everybody, and Councilor Baker for hosting this. I'll be very brief in my remarks. I'm Michael Rothschild, president of Avid Investments, longtime business and property owner in the community. I've had the pleasure the last several years of serving as president of the Newmarket Business Association, which my father helped found 45 years ago. Also as president of Newmarket Community Partners, our sister 501c3. And I've also had the privilege of serving as the chair of the steering committee for the proposed Newmarket Business Improvement District. About 3 years ago, when Sue came to me with this concept and to the board about what is a bid, none of us really knew, but we dug in and decided that this was something that we really had to research and figure out if this was the way forward. We concluded that it was, and what started then has become a whirlwind 3-year journey to get to this point, which I'm very, very proud to be a part of. Having seen how effective the Business Association has been for the past 45 years with minimal resources, a formalized staff, and a larger budget, I can only imagine what this group can accomplish. Bids can't solve all the problems, but they can solve many of them, and collecting street level data and sharing that with all the stakeholders is probably one of the most important. Lastly, I just want to say thank you to Sue, to Ben, to Ann, to Councilor Baker, to everyone involved in this process, to our steering committee, to our board of directors. This was a yeoman effort through very, very challenging times to get to this point, and I can't wait to see what this entity can accomplish in partnership with all of the local stakeholders. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael. Catherine?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me today. Given the interest of time, much of what I would say has been said. So I want to simply say that the Greater Boston Food Bank has been in Boston for over 40 years and in the Newmarket area for quite some time at 70 South Bay. We are proud to be here and we are committed members of Newmarket Business Association. As folks know, the neighborhood has had a huge amount of challenge, has been well noted by many speakers before me, and the Greater Boston Food Bank is deeply committed to working with the city and through this bid to ensure that there's safety for everyone in Newmarket, all the businesses, all the visitors, all the workers, all the volunteers, all the truck drivers coming in from out of town. We believe that the public health and safety issues in Newmarket need to be addressed, and strongly believe that the bid is a very important step of ensuring that that kind of plan gets put into place long term. The Greater Boston Food Bank has paid over $1 million in security just to protect its own businesses and the streets where our visitors, team members, and volunteers have to come through. And this is well known. That's beyond crazy in terms of what we as a city can do and can do better. And we know that the human tragedy in Mass and Cass will be addressed, but we also want to emphasize that the bid is a huge step forward to ensure that issues of security, transportation, cleanliness, all the issues that make a neighborhood pleasant and important for us to work and live in matter. And we just want to express our sincere thanks to Sue, to the city councilors, to all the efforts that have brought this to this moment. And we are in full support and ask all of those who are voting today or within the next week to move us forward. This is a really important advancement for our neighborhood, and to seize the moment and to make sure that we as Newmarket businesses are here to stay and to contribute to the city in so many ways. It'll benefit the entire city. It'll benefit our neighborhood. It'll benefit those of us who live and work here. So thank you so much for the opportunity to express the position of the Greater Boston Food Bank.
Thank you, Catherine. A quick question. Has the situation at your front door become any better?
The Topeka Street is better because it was one of the first streets to be cleared, and there is fencing covering the sidewalk, so you can't put tents there. But it has exacerbated our other streets on Southampton and Atkinson. So we, again, ask that the city continue to stay vigilant on this. We continue to have issues, people coming to the front door at all hours of the day or night. They don't know where they are, needles, safety, garbage, all of those issues. We need your vigilance on this, and we look forward to working with you to solve this problem.
Thank you, Catherine. And next is former Senator Linda Dorsina Forey, and I see you have your work husband with you there, Pat Brophy.
And Pat Brophy's here with me. Good morning, Vice Chair, Chair Baker. Good morning, everyone. I want to thank the Chair and Madam-elect Wu for joining us as well, and members of the Planning, Development, and Transportation Committee. I want to thank you, Councilor Baker, really for your work, and Councilor Flynn for your leadership on focusing on issues impacting Mass and Cass, right? We served on the task force together with Sue, with Rep. Miranda, Santiago, and so many others, trying to elevate various models to transform this area. I'm Linda Dorsina-Fori, as you all know, former state senator. I represented portion of the BID community. I'm currently a vice president at Suffolk Construction, and I'm joined with Pat Brophy, who is with our external team. We're here representing John Fish and the company. It is clear our neighborhood needs enhanced services, and you've heard this today, right? City employees are doing their job, but we all know there is a huge need for additional services, and more can be done. At Suffolk Construction, we are 100% in, and we think designating this area as a business improvement district is a good idea. By doing this, we are supporting families and working people that call Roxbury home. Suffolk supports Newmarket. We have been a longtime member, and we are proud to work collaboratively with Sue and the team to get other businesses on board as well. The bid is going to help enhance, and you've heard this, with cleaning, pressure washing, mobile shop teams, additional funding for cameras to tie into Boston Police Network, a safe and reliable transportation network system right here in Newmarket. An important piece of the bid, and Councilor Baker mentioned this, Vice Chair Baker, an important piece of the bid is having a centralized operations center, right, to coordinate the city services, city agencies, and bid services, which will be privately contracted services. And as you heard from Sue today, and I think it was Councilor Mejia who asked this question, that they're going to be intentional, right, around equity and diversity in that lens, and being intentional in identifying businesses that are Black-owned, Latino, Asian, Native American, women, veterans, that could be part of our bid and to be able to provide the services. But I want to be clear, right, being designated a business improvement district in Newmarket does not take the city off the hook. Right? It will only amplify our work together. And I think you're going to hear maybe some of that today, that, wow, this is work the city should be doing, no doubt. And the employees have been doing it, but there's more work that we could do together in really improving this area. So supporting this bid is critical. You all have been down here, right, and have seen what is happening. We are appreciative of the mayor's efforts to find supportive housing and mental health and addiction treatment for people on the streets. But with the inclement cold weather, we are fearful of a tragedy, right? And we need as many options on the table as possible and many resources to help change and transform the dynamic that is happening in this area. So everyone has heard the term 3 Ps. Well, we are on the cusp, really, of having a true public-private partnership. Businesses are here, have been here for generations, and we believe this is just another tool, and we need your support for the bid. Pat, would you like to say anything?
I just wanted to thank the council, especially the chair, Mayor-elect Wu, and Vice Chair, Councilor Baker. Frank, you've done amazing work down here. We see you a lot down here. We also want to make sure that we mention and thank the mayor and Chief Martinez for their efforts. The people at Boston Public Health Commission, they're going through an awful lot, watching what's going on, trying to help. And so we know that they're working tirelessly along with our Boston Police, our Boston Fire and EMS. So we do believe that the bid is an added option for us to consider, and that will hopefully help us with the revitalization of this neighborhood. It's a vibrant economic in the city, and we appreciate your consideration and thank you for your support.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Pat. Michael Feldman.
Hi, everybody. My name is Michael Feldman from Feldman Surveyors, also on a building on Hamden Street. Thank you, Councilor Baker, and all the committee members for being at the event, and everyone who's worked for us. You're going to hear plenty of business imperatives around the bid, and so I'll let you hear that and just give you my quick focus on community here. I mean, we moved into Roxbury, our business, about 6 years ago. We wanted to make our building and property beautiful so people would be proud. We wanted to make local hires from Boston, and they need to get to our office. And yes, there are buses, but this transportation is going to help. We want to impact the community by bringing kids from Orchard Gardens into our building, teaching them about science, technology. These kids would look at their neighborhood and only think about all the bad news that they hear, the trash that they see, the crime that they hear about, mass and cash. They kind of came to our property and kind of let us know that we didn't know this stuff is going on in Newmarket. And this stuff is great, including wanting to bring retail to the first floor of a building so the community has a meeting place to go to a craft brewery to do things. And what I've been seeing over the last 6 years is not only has Sue Sullivan and everybody been working so hard to make this neighborhood inhabitable for all these people, or habitable, that is, we need help. And these supplemental services, and we talk about, and I appreciate it, we talk about the equity in hiring the right contractors and stuff. But Robert Lewis, who's on, will know the future of all of this is our youth and the kids who live on either the outskirts of Newmarket, the residents in Newmarket. If we can work together with the BID and the city to make this neighborhood clean and secure and lit up, a lot of kids are going to walk around with their heads high. I am proud to be here. This is a great neighborhood, a great place to live. They're going to start businesses, and they're going to start them in Newmarket, and they're going to feel good. We have the Mason School. These kids can't play on Clifford Park without major cleanups happening. Hopefully, this is going to be a little proactive so they can feel safe too. So again, I've got a million reasons why it's great for our business around transportation, around security, so my brewery tenant feels safe too. I think we also need to think about what it's going to do for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Next up is Alice Ignore. Alice, thank you for coming.
Well, we came to Newmarket in the beginning of the 2000s. We have since then invested more into the community. We are so committed to the Newmarket, but I want to say that like others, we have sustained tremendous loss of money and income. But the greater concern is that we have employees that are afraid to go to work. We have had people show up for an interview, decline the job because they're afraid to go to work in the area. And my complaint is, if you ever read Malcolm Gladwell in The Tipping Point, and one of the most important parts was little things that make people proud of their area have dramatic positive effects. This is an area that was moving forward and growing so beautifully, and suddenly it encountered problems that have demeaned the area, made it unsafe, and nobody should ever want to go shopping, go to school, or allow their children to play outside and be terrified of the dangers that normal daily activities should be able to be carried out without these fears. It's deplorable. This bid will allow my employees and everybody else's employees to have pride in the area, to come and go freely without fear. The people who live here to have the natural right of freedom and safety in their community. And this is a community that includes every industry, residential, school. It's such a beautiful community that should be allowed to be at its best. And this bid provides everything that allows for the improvement, the safety, and the pride that this area deserves. That's what I have to say.
Thank you,
And
Alice.
I thank everybody for the unbelievable amount of work you've put into this. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Next, I want to recognize Clayton Turnbull.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman Baker, and to the newly elect Sue, Michelle Wu, who we're looking forward to a new administration with new thoughts. I want to go on the record to say I totally do not support this bid, totally. And for many reasons, and I'll respect the 2 minutes. I respect all the city council, Michael Flaherty, good to hear from you, Steve Tompkins, the sheriff, and others that's here, Linda Dorsina-Forey, former senator. But I have lived in this neighborhood, grew up in this neighborhood, co-founder of Dudley Street Neighborhood Initiative, only to tell you that this is not new to me. I just didn't come 2 years ago to look at this situation that we see here. I have 4 businesses in this neighborhood. One that I sit in every day right next to Linda Dorsina-Forey at Suffolk Construction for the last 20 years. I feel like I still live here, although I still live in the city of Boston, so I'm still a Boston resident. And this process was deplorable. Sue Sullivan has cherry-picked the folks that she wanted to support her. The walkthrough that I heard people speak about before that they got no one ever came to see me. I never saw the tour. I'm not here trying to have someone kiss my ring or to get attention. That is not my angle. But this has not been a transparent process. Everybody's talking about diversity and equity and inclusion. This was the worst example of inclusion. Everyone's thanking each other for how great things are. I am the first person to try to do something different. I applaud Sheriff Tompkins for what he took on from the first day he said it. So I'm not a person that doesn't like change, but when I ask for change or when I see change, I am following how it's going to get done. So everybody just saying, oh, our taxes are going to be increased. I love what Michael Flaherty said. Somebody apologized for not giving us the service. 7 years later, we're going into our 3rd mayor. Okay, this bid is not going to make an impact worthy of the bid. It is only a distraction from what should be going on to get this job done. And this is just definitely lipstick on a pig. We need to be able to talk about how do we move the needle. I drive up and down Allerton Street. We don't have any trash in front of our business. You go out there right now. We never have any trash in front of our business. We have employees that come here. Do they feel safe, and should they feel safer? Yes. What security force outside of the Boston police are you going to get to convince people that this is a more safety area? You've got entire acres of DPW yard that does cleanup. Who's going to come and clean it any better? When I take a look at, this is not downtown crossing. We had a national televised program around this mile, okay? A mile of drug abuse. It was on national TV. The bid is not going to turn around that impression. That's what people are dealing with when they don't want to come to work in this area, because they're looking at this, look at the publicity that we're getting on and on and on about a major issue. I applaud the city and I applaud acting Mayor Janey for what she's done in 6 or 7 months that wasn't done in 7 years. So I'm a realist. And some of you on the phone might know me. I'm a realist. I'm a realistic person. I just don't like the fluff that I'm hearing. And to think that all you needed to try to get is over the 51% mark, which you could say technically there's 30 or 40% that don't agree with it, as long as you got to 51. I will tell you all factually, I've met with 2 groups from this area, and both of them are scared to come forward because of political retaliation. Scared to come, and Chairman Baker, you should be concerned about that impression. And I'm not making it up. This is people tell me to my face. I said, why don't you speak up? Why don't you? They said, we're scared. And they're right in the middle of.
Scared of what, Clayton? Scared of what?
I asked them the same thing. I was shocked, totally shocked. I said,
political retribution?
If they were to speak up against the bid, they did not want to testify. They did not want to, they call me, and this is I swear my right hand to God. They call me and I said, well, why don't you go? No, we want you to talk. I said, why? I said, when did the city ever lock your place down? They said, we're just scared. And these people have businesses right in the heart of this methadone mile, okay? And I was shocked at that. So here, what am I saying to you folks? I'm not saying that this hasn't worked anywhere else. I'm not saying that we don't need any other, we need a lot of services, which I don't think this is even gonna touch. But the process was not inclusive. The process was led, and I respect Sue for what she does, but it was a very narrow focus on getting to the end game of providing this. And that's when it gets flawed, because you did not get the business community to come in and want to do this. We're being forced to do it, and that's when it's not gonna work. You need to sit down with people for them to tell you, hey, here is my concerns. Tell me how you're gonna do it. You just can't say, listen, I need to get 51%, and after that, you watch and see what happens. That's not an inclusive process. So here we go again in Boston, Massachusetts. Always a lot of talk in Boston and not a lot of action. And I'm telling you right now, the process was flawed. I don't know the details. I learned a little bit more this morning. I never had a formal presentation in front of me to see what was going on. I will tell you, this process is flawed, and you should not step over the people of Newmarket Square because you got 51%. You should not feel empowered because you did not take the time to make sure people and address their concerns as to what's going on. I will close on that. I will not take more than 2 minutes. I'm not trying to disrespect anyone, but when I see something that's not right, I'm going to speak up about it. And I will tell you, it has not been inclusive. If you're trying to be diverse in this new market with power, if you're trying to be D&E and then go with inclusive, it's not this is not the kickoff of it. And I'll tell you right there. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, Joe. Sue Sullivan, this is Savina. I've spoken to you a couple of times.
Excuse me.
I'm a United States veteran.
Excuse me.
And I have already built housing.
Can I ask Jack Spur to talk, please? Is Jack Spur on the line?
Chairman?
Yes, I am on the line. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman, and thank you, committee. My name is Jack Spur. I'm Vice Chair of A.W. Perry, a real estate company in Boston, and we're owner of 33 Bradston Street. We're also owner of several properties in the downtown Boston Business Improvement District, which was approved by the City Council back in 2010. I was co-chair of the steering committee, which led the effort to gain that approval. I think Andrew Grace was on that committee, and I see him here as well. And I'm also immediate past chair of the downtown bid. And I speak for experience when I urge you to vote in favor of approving the Newmarket Business Improvement District. Over the past 12 years, I've witnessed unprecedented cooperation in the downtown bid among building owners, businesses, nonprofits, residents, and the city agencies that Sue has mentioned. It's been unbelievable effort that involved everyone. The Newmarket bid will unite member owners who invest in their own neighborhood. They'll focus on the priorities, which are very evident as we look at them today. And they'll work cooperatively with city agencies for the benefit of all. So I also would like to mention that Councilor Flynn is our councilor downtown, who has been very supportive, and I thank him. I thank the City Council for prior approval, and I urge you to vote. And Sue Sullivan, thank you for your efforts, and all of you. And I urge you to vote in favor of forming the Newmarket bid. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jack. Savina Martin, would you like to speak now?
Thank you so much, Councilor Baker. And thank you again, Sue, for the work that you have done. But I just also want to say, as a United States veteran and a son who served in the Marine in Afghanistan, right? Operation Enduring Freedom. that this reminds me of allowing a community to destabilize. And then you send in, for example, the Halliburtons. They cut me off. To
No,
profit.
yes.
Okay, I thought you cut me off. I do not approve of this bid. In fact, this should be the first step of you all thinking about what you're really doing. Although Sue's presentation sounded wonderful, it had a lot of fluff. It reminds me of the sermon that I spoke of last night, of the widow who gave all she had out of her poverty, as the scribes in their long robes patted each other on the shoulders and told each other how wonderful they were doing. Meanwhile, the people were suffering. So I'm imploring to you all to come to the table and think about how the community can best have their input in this process. Otherwise, moving forward, this process is going to come to a halt. We are asking you to do this, Sue. Sue, Steve Fox, I have tried to join in the past 5 years. To qualify, my name is Savina Martin. I'm the National Senior Advisor of the National Union of the Homeless and the statewide tri-chair of the Massachusetts Poor People's Campaign. And we have a very deep and broad political comprehensive program around poverty. In meeting with Biden, right? You all know Barbara Lee and many other Congress folks in Washington around the infrastructure bill. I am asking you, Sue, to put this bid at a halt until you come to the table with community stakeholders. We have watched this over 38 years ago, protesting and organizing around drug treatment programs. We have documentaries. No one has asked us to come to the table. We have documentaries on folks in Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan seeking detoxification centers. We have seen the lines of 1,500 of people trying to seek drug treatment, only to be turned away and committing a small economic crime and going to jail. We cannot afford to arrest ourselves out of this time. As you're throwing people in jail, Steve Tompkins, they're still going to suffer from a psychotropic drug-induced psychosis where many still will die. I'm not speaking off the top of my head. I qualified on a doctorate level as a drug and alcohol substance abuse advocate, as a woman who has raised funding and have bid contractors, have overlooked specification and built housing and transitional housing, obtaining grants for Section 8 project-based certificates for women to have a place to go as they're pending reunification with their children. I have done this statewide. I have done this nationally. Just Google me and find out the rest. But beyond that, we want to talk about the people on the ground that will be suffering and dying as a result of this. As a result of looking at a war on the poor, where you allow a community to destabilize and then you send in your contractors so that you can enrich yourselves and continue to pat yourselves on the shoulders. I hope that's not the case, because this is a sad day as the nation is watching and as the nation is hearing from us all here today. Don't let this be a sad day, Sue. Don't let this be a sad day. And I'm going to end with that today the people have spoken. They have spoken. And we are going to continue watching this unfold on a national level. I am not here alone. We have many organizations backing this word today. And we are not those that have been begging and complaining for the last 5 years, listening to you all. Just have them in a cycle of hopelessness when it's not a hopeless situation at all. So I'm going to end there. I don't want to babble on. Thank you for hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. I'd like to recognize Steve Tompkins now. I believe Steve has a little something to add. Sheriff Tompkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of things. First and foremost, when the bridge to Long Island went down, the city took over an old building in the New Market Square area, an old printing building, and turned it into what we were told was going to be a 450-bed shelter. My problem with that was the way I found out about it was by reading the newspaper. And I called City Hall and I was told that that I had been spoken to, that the New Market Square Association folk had been spoken to. I can't speak for New Market, but I can speak for myself. Nobody called me from City Hall. But when I called, I was told that the people were not going to congregate on the street, that they were going to get their medication, that they would be in casework sessions, and that would be it. Well, that didn't happen. That did not happen. And so what we have now is a situation that has mushroomed out of control. It's a humanitarian crisis. And I am outrageously offended by Ms. Martin's comments, although I'm sure they're well-meaning, but to presume that I'm trying to criminalize anyone and put them in jail and throw them away is offensive. That is not what we're doing. That is not what we're doing. What we're trying to do is save lives. I have a building that would provide shelter, clothing, food, shower, medical care, and we would try to reunify these individuals with their families. So to presume that we're trying to do anything untoward is unfair. I don't know you, Ms. Martin, and I'm sure you're a great proponent of doing the right thing, but I would love to meet with you at some point. I would love to have you tour my facility, and I would love for you to get to know me as an individual and my department and what we stand for. For too many decades, my mother suffered from alcohol abuse. I know where this goes. I know what this leads to. And so I don't think society should stand by and let what's going on out there on the streets be normalized. This is also not a warm climate area. So to have people out there in the wintertime in Boston is unacceptable, just totally unacceptable. With that, I endorse this, this initiative by Sue and others to work in a private public partnership to take care of the citizens of this city and the citizens of this Commonwealth that have found their way down here to Mass and Cass. This cannot continue. So if they don't come here to the Sheriff's Department, I'm fine with that. But I will say to all the legislators on the call, put some money together, take over some of these vacant buildings, turn them into shelter, create more beds for mental health and substance abuse. 70% of my population is sitting here because they've done something untoward and they should not be here because they're suffering from mental health or substance abuse issues. I don't take what we do cavalierly. This is not your grandfather's incarceration center. We're trying to save lives. Unfortunately, as I mentioned to you, Mr. Chairman, I've got another meeting that I have to hop off. Ms. Martin, my telephone number is 617-635-1000. Please give me a call or let me know how I can find you. I'll talk to Sue. I will reach out to you. And I'd love to have a conversation with you about at least what my department is trying to accomplish here. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Sheriff. And just to be clear, this bid is not about what's happening on the street. It's not about clearing tents. This bid is about providing services for an area. The tents are an issue that popped up starting in April and just exploded on our streets. So again, this is not about clearing tents or criminalizing anyone. This is more services for this area coming in. Sheriff, you had something else to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think the public-private partnership to take care of the residents and the businesses down here is right on point. If I went off the path by mentioning the tents, I apologize. And the bigger issue is the bid, which I say I endorse.
Yep. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, sir.
And also to be clear, we in the city cannot provide all the services that are needed down there. Public Works cannot handle everything that happens down there. We needed to augment the services that are happening down here, which is what the bid will be doing. Steve Fox. Chair recognizes Steve Fox.
Thank you, Councilor. First of all, I want to acknowledge the tremendous amount of work and the coordination that you, Frank, and Councilor Ed Flynn, Councilor Flaherty, and several others have done, particularly Liz Miranda and John Santiago were also helpful. I come to this discussion with a little bit of a different perspective. And all of the city councilors who have worked with me kind of understand where I'm coming from, and including you, Sheriff Tompkins. For those of you who don't know me, I chair the South End Forum. The South End Forum is an umbrella organization representing all the neighborhood associations of the South End. South End's a little different. We have 17 independent neighborhood associations for our geography. That's unusual. But the forum represents the common interests of all of those neighborhood associations. And certainly Mass and Cass, Newmarket, the Newmarket bid, all of these are critical issues to the South End and to the South End Forum members. For those of you that don't understand the map that Sue presented, a big portion of the South End geography, which is the medical hospital center, is in the South End. And we're happy that those are independent institutions that are part of this business improvement district, because they've been our partner for a very long time, along with Sue and everyone else. Just a tiny little bit of history to address some of the comments that have been made. 7 years ago, Newmarket, Lower Roxbury, and the South End formed a working group, and it was called the Working Group on Addiction, Recovery, and Homelessness. We started having meetings 7 years ago, until 2 years ago when the mayor's task force was created. For 7 years, we have been having, aside from those 2 years where the task force has been meeting, we have had public meetings, advertised public meetings that would welcome anyone, any resident, any elected official, anybody with from a nonprofit was welcome to come to those meetings. And a lot of people did. There was never any attempt to have a discussion about addiction, recovery, and homelessness in our neighborhood where anyone was excluded. There was weekly press coverage of all of the issues that we discussed. There was monthly opinion pages where the issues that we discussed were discussed as well. So we've now begun to revive the working group, since the task force is closing its work or will take a new form as a result of a new mayor. But I want to be clear that we in the South End see Sue Sullivan and the Newmarket Business Improvement District as our partners in moving forward on a bunch of issues. Yes, we can talk about services. Yes, we can talk about a shuttle bus. Yes, we can talk about all of the various issues that are important in the urban environment. But the most important thing for all of us to know is that we need to continue to create glass half full situations for all of us. And by that, I mean that we need to partner with Dorchester, with South Boston, with the South End, with Newmarket, with Lower Roxbury, with all of the various abutting neighborhoods and neighbors in order to try to bring resolution. And I'm one of those people that really supports a transparent process. So I will be sure to get in touch with whoever wants to be a part of the working group meetings. We are now doing them by Zoom. We had 60, 75 people at the last meeting last week. So there has been an opportunity for people to express their views and talk about issues of importance to them. I want to say on behalf of the forum because I don't want to drone on for too long, that we are supportive of this business improvement district. We see it as one critical piece in a larger picture of how we manage to deal with these urban challenges. And we do believe that this is going to be a critical element that will help us as we move forward. So I'm really delighted and pleased to thank all of you, and in particular acknowledge the person who has been my partner, who we like to say that we're kind of joined at the hip. Sue Sullivan and I work together on issue after issue after issue. In fact, for the past 2 years, I've told Sue she never begins or ends a conversation without talking about the bid. It's been front and center for a very long time for a lot of people, and I'm really glad that it's coming to fulfillment. So 100% support from the South End neighborhoods for this bid moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And just for clarification, people, we have approximately 20 more people that want to speak. So if we can keep our comments concise. Thank you. Saratin Rizzuto. Saratin?
Hi, good morning.
Hopefully
Can
I'm
you
saying your
hear
name
me?
right. Oh, how are you?
It's Saritin Rizzuto.
Okay.
I want to thank everyone involved in this process. I will start with that. Specifically, I want to thank Sue Sullivan, who has truly been a champion in this effort. I mean, working hard in the last 3 years, it's been a lot of work. And I'd have to say from personal experience, she has been extremely inclusive, in my opinion. And I want to share that I am in full support of the bid for many reasons, specifically because this will bring forth systematic change that is desperately needed in this area to improve safety and security, quality of life. But most importantly, it will create a space where everyone in the new area to thrive. I have full confidence in the incoming administration. I believe that the time is now. I also wanted to add that the New Market area is a vibrant, diverse, culturally and linguistically diverse community, but sadly it is often forgotten and has been neglected for far too long. So the time is now, and I am in full support of the bid. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Valida Britton.
Hi, my name is Belay Britton. I'm Executive Director for Boston University's Medical Campus. And I was also part of the steering committee with respect to the bid. It was a really interesting process. I learned a lot. I want to say that BU has sent in a letter of support for the bid. We are happy to be on board, and we believe that the bid will make a positive difference. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Jerry DePiero. Jerry DePiero.
Jerry
No,
was
Jerry.
on.
Oh, Andrew, do you have anything to add to this conversation, Andrew Grace?
Thank you very much, Frank. No, I defer to the other speakers.
Okay.
I think it's
Okay.
important to have the other individuals speak. So
Thank you, Andrew. Ramon Soto.
Jerry is in as not as a panelist, he's showing up as an attending. So,
Okay.
Hi.
When we... Hey, Ramon, how are you?
Good, thank you, Councilor Baker. On behalf of, my name is Ramon Soto, and I'm the Director of Government Advocacy on behalf of Boston Medical Center. Just want to echo some of the earlier comments in regards to the alignment of the around the Integrated Area Operations Center. Is something that BMC strongly supports in improving and strengthening our lines of communication, in particular for something that our Public Safety Committee was stressed was of great importance to them. We're also excited about the improvements for the shuttle transportation, particularly since a majority of our staff do not use a car in order to get to Boston Medical Center. The majority use public transportation. They walk, they bike. And so having shuttle service is extremely helpful, as well as the additional amenities around snow shoveling and things that help our staff get to Boston Medical Center to serve our patients and our communities. So we look forward and we're excited for the opportunity to partner with the city and the bid to continue to improve our operations and work jointly with our community and partners to improve the area. So thank you so much to Sue and the city for the opportunity, and thank you, Councilor Baker.
Thank you, Ramon. Josephine Cuzzy.
She had to jump off to get to another meeting.
Okay, Keith Haig. Keith, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. Council
Morning.
Baker and committee members, I appreciate the time. My name is Keith Haig. I represent Edens, owner of South Bay, and I believe the largest property owner in the bid. I will start by saying Edens and South Bay support this bid 100%. And Sue and her team have spent an inordinate amount of time outlining the details of this bid and all the much needed services we and our fellow business owners need to succeed. Edens opened a expansion of our center, 750,000 square feet in 2018, with such optimism and pride to bring the first development filled with housing, entertainment, restaurants, and a hotel and retail to Dorchester. Unfortunately, our community's experienced a constant decline since we opened. Vagrant activity, vandalism, theft have dramatically increased in the past few years. This has resulted in an increased annual security costs of more than 50%. That's more than $600,000 a year, and a similar increase in maintenance costs, while also creating a very challenging leasing environment with our center experiencing the highest vacancy rate that Edens has experienced since we acquired the center in the late 90s. Edens and South Bay support the bid, and we know it will improve our community and help to bring back the vibrant, positive activity we started to experience when we opened South Bay expansion in 2018. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to voice our support. Thank you, Mayor-elect Wu, Council Baker, Sue, and everyone involved for your hard work and persistence in bringing this bid to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Sorry to hear about the difficult times. Matthew Davis.
Thank you, Councilor Baker. I'll keep my comments brief as well. Matt Davis with National Development. I'd quickly like to echo the appreciation for the tremendous effort, dialogue, and countless hours of work from a pretty diverse group of stakeholders, ranging from elected officials, city employees, community leaders, nonprofits, and the local businesses to reach this point. We're grateful to have been able to participate in the process. We own a property in the heart of the bid district, located at 960 Mass Ave, which Sue mentioned earlier in her presentation. And we've strongly supported the bid since the effort began. Our property's success is fully aligned with the neighborhood's success. And we believe that the bid is a game changer for Newmarket and really a critical tool to collaborate with and enhance the existing city services in the neighborhood. And ultimately will improve the quality of life for residents and businesses alike. So again, be brief and just want to strongly voice our support. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Cesar Spinola. Cesar, are you on the line?
May I speak, sir?
Cesar was on, he was at work, but he was trying to.
Okay.
speak in between.
Yeah. Ping Sue, Ping, you can talk now.
Thank you. Thank you, Council Baker. And thank you for members of the committees. I have a small 3-family at the corner of George Street and Magazine Street. And I just been mapped into this big district. Surprisingly, I received a single communication in a letter from the New Market Business Association a year ago, and with this proposal. And there's no detail about what the management's responsibility and authority and powers are over this proposed district. And there's no mention about what property owners' legal right and voting right. There, basically, I received no documentation and clearly specify the functionality of the legal responsibility of this bid. I don't have any legal background, but I do know how condo association works. And I feel like this is creating a bigger condo association or like a smaller local government. So property owners at the covered area will have another layer of government to report to and actual tax to pay. But a condo association would specify the voting, who has how much voting right, and the members can decide how the money that belongs to the association being spent to. However, I don't see any of those informations in the letter received. And I'm not hearing this kind of information in the presentation Sue Sullivan has presented. So I think for that reason, this proposal should be rejected unless the legal details being worked out. That's my point. My point number two is there are very nice proposals like 24-hour shuttle bus services and help fix the public health issue. However, I think those shuttle bus service is public transportation issue, and the public health issue is also not specific to this area, small area of Boston within the map of this New Market bid. I think it's unfair for the property owners of this area to take the burden of this kind of a public service. And I also think for the proposed service, $3.5 million is not enough. And if it's not enough, will this bid has the authority to make special assessment upon homeowners, property owners? And that's something need to be clarified. That's related to what authority, what power the bid has. Another thing is association or a local government. Who is the manager and how this small organization is being run, and that need to be specified. And who's going to pay for the salary of Sue Sullivan and her team? And when we can vote for someone else to be the manager for this bid, that is not clear. I think until that being cleared, this proposal should be rejected, because people are signing up, not receiving the complete communication. If they are not fully informed, and then I think their signatures wouldn't be counted. I have another point, please. Regarding the fee proposal, I think the fee is in favor of bigger business and put a smaller business business owners like me. I have a tiny three family, and I have three senior citizens as tenants living on one of each of the floor, and I don't make much money, and I'm my husband and I, we are senior citizens, and this is our sole income. Paying extra for public transportation for fixed public health issue for a small fish like us, it's a lot of burden. And the bigger business, the percentage of the property tax assessed to them is much less. Basically, if we count the extra tax rate, the small business owner like me, I would pay, over 10%, much more than 10%. I think probably close to 20% more than bigger business. Is that fair? And the city's tax. Let me finish, please.
I would like to have
tax.
Sue answer some of these questions here.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to have Sue respond. Sue Sullivan, are you ready? Can you respond to some of that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I just in all full disclosure, we sent to Ping Sue a year ago, plus and all of the information about the bid that everyone received. Our petition, our marketing plan, our question and answer packet, everything that she's actually asking for was described in all of that. In addition, since then, we've reached out. I just checked a minute ago. We've tried to reach out to her 3 different times by telephone. We've also tried to go to the property and find out if they had a different number for her, and she hasn't responded to us. Okay, so we have gone out of our way to reach out to, and we've done that with every property owner, every resident. We've actually Googled residents at length trying to find telephone numbers, particularly for the ones that have investment properties, which this is. It's not an owner occupied properties do not pay anything. If they had a 3-family and they lived in it, they pay nothing. It's only as an investment property, and her bid fee for the year is $400, which represents $11 a month per apartment. Okay, so when she talks about, it being favorable to big businesses and all, we tried very, very hard to make people like her not have an undue burden. And what I'll tell you is there's also in the bid, there's a hardship waiver, that if it is a hardship for her, if she can't raise rent or do anything like that because she has senior citizens, and that's not what we're trying to do here. We're not trying to put an undue burden on anyone. So truly, if my number is 617-233-7565, I would love to have her reach out to me. Because and we have painstakingly, we hired an individual from the neighborhood, Paul Ociande, who walked around banging on doors, trying to get a hold of people. And he really worked very, very hard.
In your letter, or whoever knocked the doors, did they explain to people what's the voting power they have, what legal right they have within this bid?
That is all explained in the documentation, in the hearing.
Can you tell me what exactly the voting power is allocated? When will be the next voting meeting?
So there's
no such information.
So it is. So the way the bid is formed is it's a.
All right, so I
have the letter. I have the letter here. There's no such information.
Miss Sue.
Yes.
Sue Sullivan gave you her cell phone number. Please give her a call after this so you can talk offline. I need to continue this hearing.
I want to make the statement. I'm against this proposal, and I think it's unfair. And I think the plan sounds grand, but I think, with $35 million, and half of this probably will go to the management's salary, and we'll end up having a lot of multiple special assessment, and it's not fair, and it shouldn't be accepted by the city of Boston, and it should be challenged legally.
Okay, thank you. Stan Walzak?
Yes, thank you, Vice Chairman Baker. Good morning, everybody. My name is Stan Walzak. I'm here today representing Resource Waste Services located at 101 Gerard Street in Roxbury. We own and operate a construction, demolition, recycling facility. We see this as a great opportunity for businesses to help add necessary resources in conjunction with the resources already being provided to us by the city. These added resources will have a positive impact on the quality of life for those who live and for those who work in the community in the surrounding area. We look forward to the City Council approving the bid and eagerly await the implementation of the bid. And thank you for your time today.
Thanks, Stan. Lee Reed? Lee Reed?
Lee might have had
Marla
to jump
Murphy?
off.
Lee, are you there?
I think Lee and Marla both had to jump off. I mean,
Okay.
Marla was at work.
Okay, Marla's next. VJ Seal? From McDonald?
Cesar is on now.
May I make one more point?
No. Caesar
Cesar.
Spinola?
Yes, hi, I'm
Cesar.
here.
Yeah.
Hi, I wanted to say that as a resident of the area, I've been fully informed by Sue. I attended one of the first initial meetings, and I'm in full support of this proposal. I think that all of the questions that others have raised were indeed answered at the community meetings. She went through all of that information. We reviewed it in that meeting, and then we took home the packet. I think all the information is there, and I do support the process. I think of everything that has been proposed for the area. This has the potential to have the biggest impact. And as a resident, I am in full support of this. And I encourage everyone who's able to or who has the power to vote to pass this proposal.
Thank you, Caesar. Ted Winston? Ted Winston?
I think Ted had to jump off. Sorry.
John Marston? John Marston? Brian Maloney?
Okay, no, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Oh, John, how are you?
I was trying to get unmuted. Sue always likes it when I am muted, by the way. Thank you so much, Chairman Baker, for all of your support. You've been great to Newmarket all along. Stand up, really appreciate it. I'll try to keep my comments brief. I've been involved as a board member at Newmarket for 25 years. I've been board chair for the last 5 years, and probably close to 50 years I've been working with nonprofits and neighborhoods of the city of Boston. My activities are really driven by the fact that Newmarket is a jobs engine for the neighborhoods around Newmarket, South Boston, Dorchester, Roxbury, and other areas. And that's really what drives my commitment to Newmarket. The organizations, the Newmarket Business Association has been a place for businesses to thrive, to provide jobs that pay well with appropriate benefits. As people have spoken before, there are seafood companies, meat companies, construction, nonprofits, all sorts of opportunities. And the companies in Newmarket really do reach out to the neighborhoods and provide entry level jobs, and they're really important. The bid will greatly enhance our ability to assure that the employment opportunities for the neighboring communities will continue. And that's why it's so important that we approve the bid process. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, John. Brian Maloney? Brian Maloney, I see you there, Brian. Bill Jacobson?
He had to take off.
Okay. Patty McCormick, are you there, Patty?
Yes, Counselor, thank you. Hi,
Hi,
I'm Patty
Patty.
McCormick, and I'm Vice President of Andrew Square Civic Association. And we at Andrew Square Civic enthusiastically support Newmarket in their efforts to establish a bid. As an abutter, ASCA has worked with Sue Sullivan in the Newmarket business on many issues over the years. Sue is an amazing champion for our city, and I'm confident under her leadership, this initiative will give Newmarket the tools and additional resources to do great things, not only for Newmarket, but the surrounding neighborhoods as well. And we at Andrew Square look forward to continuing to partner with folks like Sue and Steve, who have always reached out to us, and the Newmarket bid to make Newmarket strong. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Is there anybody else here that wants to give testimony here that I don't have on this list? No, there's not. Are there any questions for Sue or Ben or Ann Burke or Andrew Grace?
I think we have VJ on. Who
Oh,
just got-
okay.
hang on.
VJ, you on?
Oh, maybe not. He's there, but can I just make one last comment?
Sure.
Frank, I know we want to get out of here. I want to, Jerry DiPiero is on.
Do you want to let Jerry speak before you go?
Sure.
Jerry?
I don't know if they're having trouble unmuting.
Or we can get
Can
back
you
to
hear me?
him.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, we have you, Jerry.
Good morning, Councilor Baker. Thank you, everyone. So I'll make this short. My name is Jerry DiPiero. I'm over at 875 Mass Ave in Boston. I'm on the old Paul Clutch. I'm in favor of this bid. Just a quick few things. Over the last 6 or 8 years, it's been tough. Where employees trying to get to work, trying to get here, trying to get in and out of the building at late, damages to the property, having to install cameras, people, destruction around my property's been easy $40,000-$50,000 over the last 6 months. And like I said, keeping this short, I says this bid program will turn around and bring added safety. I mean, the city's done a dynamite job, the police, everyone. It's just, I think the bid will turn around and just tip the scales here and help in our goal with the security, transportation, the cleanliness, and actually just we're building a partnership. This is just one more tool we're going to add to the box to make this happen. Again, I'm in favor. Sue, thank you so much to you and your team. Unbelievable. And thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yep.
No, thank you, Jerry. Thanks for your comments.
Sure.
Sue, before we turn it over to you, I see that Councilor Mejia has her hand up. I'd like to see if she has some questions. Councilor Mejia?
Thank you, Councilor Baker. I'm just curious, Sue, as we continue to move forward with this bid, and just curious about in terms of just infrastructure and some long-term sustainability supports. Just curious about at least I'm just trying to figure out what would be the best way to address some of the concerns from some of the folks who were in opposition. Like what, if any, ideas you have in terms of maybe it's quarterly conversations with folks in the business community or in and around that area? Like, what would be some of the ideas that you may want to offer to some of the folks who are in strong opposition? I'm always trying to figure out how we get to a win, right? And one of the things that I've learned in the last 18 months is really about finding compromises, right? And finding common ground and helping people understand that, we can all disagree, but at some point we just have to come to terms with it is what it is, right? So how do we do this in a way that feels like some of these folks who are in opposition feel heard and included in the continuation of this work moving forward? I don't know if that's appropriate or not, but it's something to think about.
Yeah,
and
and Council,
answer it, just considering.
And Council, I agree with you, because that's one of the things that I would say that I've tried really hard over the last 2.5 years is when people have had objections, how I can make a difference and get those to be positive. What I would say is two things. We're going to be putting out, the board of directors of this bid is going to be made up of property owners and stakeholders and residents, including residents and everything. We will put it out to everyone if they'd like to self-nominate to be part of that board. And if people don't become part of the board, we're going to have a number of committees that everyone can be part of as well. Because this is it is supposed to be an inclusive process. It is, and anyone that is a stakeholder down here should have a say in what's going on. So, that is first and foremost how it's going to be. And if to Savina's point, no, we will have a committee on homelessness and addiction and all. We work so closely, and to Steve Fox's point about how open that South End Forum Working Task Force is. That's been our working group for years now. And I would invite Savina to join on to that. I will reach out to Ping Sue, because truly, I do not, we are not looking to cause hardship, for any, even someone who's got an investment property down here. For Clayton Turnbull, and I know he's not on, that one's a little more difficult, Counselor. I reached out to Clayton a number of years ago asking him to join the Newmarket Business Association. He refused and told me that there was nothing I could do for him that he couldn't do for himself. And he's refused on a number of occasions to join the business association. I reached out to him to talk down. I asked him if I could sit down with him and discuss the bid. And from day one, he told me he had no interest in sitting down with me about it. It wasn't going to work, and he wasn't going to even discuss it. I can't change people's minds like that. I can change people's minds if we can have a dialogue, because I'll tell you, I refuse to continue calling this area Massancas. I refuse to continue calling it Methadone Mile. This is going to be an area we all need to be proud of. The South End, Andrew Square, McCormick, Newmarket, Lower Roxbury, Nubian Square. We need to come together, because this community has been underserved and all for far too long. And we really, and I don't know if you, Councilman here, if you know any way I can reach out to Clayton to change his mind on that, I will do it, but I just don't know how.
Thank you. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate it. And thank you, Councilor Baker, for allowing me to ask the question. And I do really appreciate how much you're leaning into this, Sue, and really taking an inclusive approach to the conversation and moving forward. I look forward to being able to help support and building those bridges and relationships, because I really do think that you're onto something that I think is going to transform that area, and I'm here for all of it. So thank you.
Thank you. And please, Councilman Hand, anyone else, if you don't feel I'm being inclusive at any point in time, please call me out. Okay, I absolutely, because you don't know what you're not doing until somebody tells you, and I absolutely am committed to that.
Thanks, Sue. I see Council Flynn here. Council Flynn, do you have questions?
Hey, Council Baker. No, I don't have any questions. I've been listening to the discussion. and just want to compliment Sue Sullivan and the team and the residents in the South End and Roxbury and South Boston, Newmarket area for working together, and Steve Fox as well. It was a good discussion of keeping residents involved. And I think this bid will be successful if we all work together. I think that's the critical part of a bid. And I've had 2 experiences with bids in the downtown Boston area and with the Rose Kennedy Greenway. And for it to be successful, it needs to communicate constantly with the residents, keep them informed, let the residents also be part of decision-making process. And when there's that level of open dialogue and open communication, it makes for a successful bid, successful neighborhood. So I'm happy to support this. I want to say thank you to Councilor Baker for really providing strong leadership on this. So thank you, Frank. I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. I'd like to, Ian, I saw you nodding your head when Councilor Mejia was asking questions. So what do some other bids do? Are there monthly meetings, bi-monthly meetings? Like, how do other bids stay connected to the areas that they represent?
Well, the bids are really run by the property owner people who are part of the bid, provide the governance for the bid. So that once the bid is formed, there will be formed as a 501c3. It will have a board composition defined in its bylaws. And that process will try to be as inclusive as possible so that all different types of businesses, property owners, large and small, residents, geography is covered within that governance structure. As Sue mentioned, everyone will have the opportunity to indicate their interest in serving on a board or committee as part of that process. And that communication will go out shortly after a bid is formed so that that process can happen. So bylaws, articles of organization, the filings with the IRS to have that determination that it's a 501c3, that will all happen once the bid is formally created. It is a process that all the bids follow this process so that every property owner has a vote. So as the bid goes forward and your plan continues to be evolve over time, some bids are over 20 years old now, like Downtown Crossing is about 13 years old, I believe now. Those plans may evolve over time as your needs change, and the property owners themselves will help create what those plans look like as the bid matures and as the bid tries to focus their energies on the priorities of your particular district. So yes, that happens, and that happens in every single bid. And so you're the person who expressed her concern about having a say, the property owners and businesses within the bid, they have the absolute say on what the program is and what your priorities are and how your budget is allocated.
And the structure is set up after
the bid is formed, then there will be, bylaws are adopted, the appropriate filings with the state are done once the bid is created. So once that vote is taken, the bid will prepare to make that happen right away.
And we do have a local option, meaning this does not need to go up to the State House for state approval. This is just City Council, mayor approval.
Right. Your role as City Council will be to either approve or deny the petition that's in front of you. And I think the one important point that I wanted to just clarify was the enabling legislation it requires 60% of the property owners that represent 51% of the assessed value. What this bid has done is present a petition that has 64% of the property owners and almost 75% of the assessed value. So it has far exceeded the statutory requirements to thresholds to form the bid. So that doesn't mean that anybody who didn't sign the petition was opposed. It just meant that once it's exceeded, and comfortably exceeded, to demonstrate that there's a mandate and an interest to form this bid in Newmarket, that the organizers simply said, now we're prepared to move forward with the petition.
Thanks, Ann. And Andrew, I see you. I just have one more question. Sue, at what rate, is it the same rate that people get assessed for what they're gonna pay into the bid? Like, how do we
No.
come up with the
No,
assessment?
no, so it depended. We made a determination that, we really sat down and tried to make it so no one, we had enough properties in the bid so that we weren't unduly burdening different, property owners. We put it so that if it's an owner occupied 1 to 3 family, they pay nothing. They get all the benefits, none of the costs, okay? If it's an investment property though, where someone lives somewhere else and they own a, 2 family, 3 family, 4 family, whatever, or 50 units, okay, a residential, they pay a certain formula. If it's a nonprofit organization, it pays a certain formula. And if it's a for-profit corporation, they pay a certain formula. So within those groups, everyone's the same. But we did differentiate in some bids, they don't make nonprofits pay. They don't have nonprofit. We have so many nonprofits in our organization, in our map that we had to, but at a different rate.
And I think it's just so that you all know, every single district has a different formula. So you're not living with a formula that's set in the enabling legislation. So one of the tasks at hand and what the steering committee had worked on was to determine what that fair and equitable fee structure looks like within Newmarket. So that formula was generated by the property owners within that district that they considered to be fair and equitable, and something that property owners, that the value of the programs, supplemental programs and services that they were investing in was represented in that fee structure, and they generated it locally within the property owners themselves. Now, Sue had mentioned a hardship provision, so there is the ability for a property owner that can demonstrate severe financial hardship, and that's in the petition. It's articulated in the petition that everybody has seen. If they can apply to the bid for a waiver or a reduction of fee for some period of time. So there is the opportunity to work with a property owner that is truly experiencing financial hardship.
Thank you, Ann. Andrew, you have something to add here?
Thank you very much, Councilor Baker. Just quickly, Andrew Grace from the Mayor's Office of Economic Development. I've been proud to be involved in the formation of the Downtown Crossing bid, and fingers crossed, hopefully in the formation of the Newmarket bid. I want to put my name and kind of identify myself as clearly as possible for everyone on this call, but especially for those folks who mentioned that they haven't been informed or were outspoken in their opposition. I would very much like to have an opportunity to provide that additional information, and have a dialogue and a conversation about, the opportunity that is at hand. To echo something that Ann and Sue have said, but perhaps, slightly different. Bid is not, a one-size-fits-all mechanism. This is something that the property owners come together collectively, decide they want to do this, and then consistently throughout its existence, get to decide where those resources are, how they get spent, you have autonomy and say in the formation of this and throughout its existence. And it is, again, to just echo, this is supplemental services that the city's baseline city services, the street sweepers, all the stuff that you see that's going out there continues to be offered by the city. These services are in conjunction with those services. This does not replace or make those services go away. It has been a challenge, certainly for Sue and the steering committee and everyone involved with this to kind of champion and kind of lead this process, particularly through the past 18 or 20 months of this pandemic. It's been absolutely, enormous and Herculean effort, and it's not without its flaws. But, again, for anyone who has any questions or wants to have a conversation or understand some of the more specifics of these, I welcome the opportunity to talk with you. You can, my contacts, first name, last name at boston.gov, andrew.grace@boston.gov. Thanks for the chance to talk.
Thank you, Andrew. And I think I think we're at the end here. I'd like to offer my colleagues a chance to wrap it up in a closing statement if they would like to. Councilor Mejia?
Yes, thank you, Councilor Baker. I'm just encouraged by the conversation and would like to just offer that as we continue to move forward with these discussions, is that perhaps I believe Andrew's point in terms of perhaps even creating a working group around some of these issues might be helpful. And then I think in terms of just tracking and accountability and just transparency, if there's a way for us to be able to look at how small businesses, specifically around the contracting process, what that looks like in terms of just sharing out information about those efforts and what that looks like and what are some of the issues you're encountering through that process, so that we can keep our eyes open and figuring out how we address whatever hiccups we've encountered along the way. But I definitely do think that a working group around some of the folks who are in opposition to include them in the process would be helpful. So looking forward to the next step and encouraged by our collaborative work here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Flynn?
Thank you, Council Baker. Let's continue to work together. Boston works best when we work together. Thank you, Council Baker.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. And
Thank you,
in closing, I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out today. Thank Sue for all the work you did, Andrew, the work you've done, the work that everybody's done, and the discussions that we started years ago, and here we are almost finished. And again, I'm still of the mindset that I want to apologize to the business owners that we have to ask for an additional assessment because it's gotten so bad down there. But I do believe that this will help us out on a lot of levels. The transportation is exciting. The cameras are exciting. The people on the street, the actual presence that will be able to see people doing the work. And also what I had seen in San Francisco, where the returning citizens, the people that were in recovery, having opportunities to have jobs within this bid and help their communities that are down there on the street. So thank everyone for the time here today. And with that, this hearing is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Baker, Councilor Flynn, Councilor Mejia. Very appreciative of your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
You.